All right, so today on the farm, we're going to change the oil in our Mahindra 5545 tractor. I've never actually changed the oil in this thing. To be honest, I had the 50-hour service done on it like I was supposed to, and then not too long ago, I noticed that I'm starting to see some black smoke, and I forget what led me to checking the oil. I can't remember if it was, maybe I heard a little knock-in or something. I can't remember what it was, but maybe the oil light came on. But I checked the oil, and it was super black. Like, I don't think when we did the 50-hour service, I don't think they changed the oil, which I'm really irritated about, but that was a very long time ago and nothing I can do about it. So I'm going to change it myself this time. That's just a good thing to note going forward. I used to do that with my vehicles all the time. I would make sure the filter got changed and, kind of check the oil. I should have done it on my tractor. I just trusted those guys and couldn't have. So I'm letting it warm up right now so we can get the oil warm so it'll all drain out properly. From what I've read in the manual and watched a couple of videos, it seems pretty straightforward, just like changing oil on a car. I ordered the kit from Bill's Tractor and Equipment online. They have the best setup in my mind as far as looking it up online, trying to figure out what filter and everything you need. It was very simple. I mean, like, you just go, they're all drop downs, pick what tractor, what model, and then they had this kit on there that was supposedly at a discounted price that has the oil filter, the two air filters, the inner and the outer air filters, and the fuel filters. And then I had to order the oil separately. And then they had the right amount of oil. I wasn't sure, and I had to look it up in the manual, and they had the right amount of oil in the little kit that you order for the oil. So very simple. Highly recommend those guys. It came in a couple days ago, all nice and neat, packed in this little box. I got a manual out here because I haven't changed the fuel filters or I know where the air filters are, but I haven't changed the fuel filters. I'm not sure exactly where they are on here, so I might have to look that up in the manual when we get to that part. But I'm gonna back the tractor out here, get the oil pans, and get started. So I just went ahead and raised the bucket up out of the way. Pop the hood here. Everybody else hasn't woke up yet. Alright, so we have the fill cap right there. So we're gonna take that off so our oil will flow easily. We don't have to take the side panels off for the oil change, but we will for the fuel filters. So I'm going to take these off. There's one fuel filter. And looks like that's probably our oil filter right there. I don't know, I think both air filters may be in here. I'll have to read, I don't remember. I know there's one in there. I've taken that out and cleaned it before. I'm not sure which one's the oil drain. There we go. That looks like that might be the oil drain. Or I'm gonna read to make sure, but I think that's the oil drain there. But I gotta go get the oil pans and tools and all that, so I'll be back. All right, so I looked it up, and that is the oil plug right there. Take a screw now. Oh, that's the wrong one. Alright, so obviously I figured out pretty quick. That is the hydraulic drain and not the oil drain. It looks similar in the picture. I'll show you what the manual shows and why I thought that was what it was. So that's what the manual shows. It just says that B is the drain plug. It tells you remove the drain plug B, provide the bottom of the oil sump. It just has that picture right there. So that looked correct to me, but obviously it wasn't. That's the hydraulic fluid. And I knew that very quickly because the hydraulic fluid was so clean, and the oil I know is jet black, like I mentioned earlier from checking the oil. So I got down underneath the tractor and looked around, finally found it. It doesn't mention moving this little guard under here, but because I don't want oil going everywhere, I figured out that's the drain plug. But then you can see you got this guard that's in the way, and I don't want oil going all down in the guard and making a big mess. So I'm gonna take that guard off real quick. These are half inch bolt with a half-inch nut on it. Okay, in case you're wondering, that plug right there, that bolt that plugs the oil pan, is a 7/8 inch. 7/8 inch socket. So, see if I can do this. I had to go back and get the big wrench. Even after putting the phone down and getting both hands on it, I couldn't break that thing loose. So, I got it broke loose. That is a huge plug. There we go. See how black? Yeah, I know oil is usually black, but I just don't believe those guys changed it last time. So in case you were wondering what all came in that box from Bill's tractor, this is what all was in the box. Like I said, all this is like a filter package. Came with all those filters. It was like $200 and something for all the filters, and I had to order the oil separate. All the oil's in here. I think it's 9 quarts is what it calls for. That's what all came in the package. Decided while I was waiting on the oil to drain, I would go ahead and start working on the fuel filters. And actually, it says replace fuel filter every 400 hours. And then I also noticed, I didn't even know this, it talks about draining water from the fuel filter when the water level indicator in the instrument cluster glows on. I've never had that happen, but I thought it'd be good to know where that was and how to do it. So I kind of went through that. You'll notice right here at the bottom of the fuel filter, the thing that's indicated by the C right there. I'll go show you in a second, but if you twist that counterclockwise, fuel starts to pour out, and I guess it collects any water, and there's a sensor on the bottom of it that'll make your water sensor go off if you have, once I guess to be too much water in there. So then here's the filter. It's where the sensor goes, the thing that collects the water in the sensor. So we'll go over here and change that. So here's right on the side is the fuel filter. Here's that sensor, and if you turn this thing counterclockwise, it starts pouring out. It seems to be pure diesel, not any water in it that I can tell. So it looks like we probably take this connector off, and then that's going to just unscrew out the bottom of it. Alright, so I can't figure out a way to make the fuel not flow out of there, so I'm not going to try to film this while I'm not going to try to hold this in one hand and take that filter off and all that with fuel pouring out. I'm going to turn this off and do it so I can do it as quickly as possible. But filter, and that's the type of oil filter wrench I use. I don't know if I'm going to need it or not. I don't know if it's that tight, but so I'm going to take the sensor, which is this. I'm going to take it off, screw it on the bottom of this one, the new one. I'm going to take this off, the old filter off, screw the other one on there real quick. There is a screw back here. I don't know if you can see that. It's right there. I forget what that's called. It takes a number 10. It's so you loosen it up to, it's a bleed screw, that's what it is. So once you get this all back together, you loosen that up. After you get everything back together, loosen that screw up, and then when you push down on this to prime, and it bleeds all the air out. Once you start getting fuel coming out of that little screw area, you know you've got all the air out of the line. That takes a number 10. Number 10 doesn't fit it snug, but nothing else was metric, or none of the other metrics will fit it, and the 3/8 was too small. It wouldn't go on there. So why a number 10 is loose, I don't know, but it loosened it right up, and that's what I'm going to do. Okay, just to tell you what happened with the fuel filter thing here. So I did what I said. I unscrewed the bleeder, where you let the water out, this little water sensor. If you unscrew that counterclockwise, this little hole will line up, and guess any water collects down here, and this little sensor lets you know that, and you'll get a light on your cluster. And so I had taken this sensor cord off first, unscrewed this completely out, and I stuck my finger in the hole, and then unscrewed the old filter while I was holding my finger over the hole, because I wasn't sure what was going to happen with the fuel. And actually what ended up happening was, when I took the old filter off, it was basically just full of fuel, and all the fuel went in the bucket. I just laid the old filter down there, and fuel stopped coming out. Don't forget on your new filter, just like you do with a oil filter, rub oil around the ring so this doesn't seize up, get hot and seize up. Don't forget to do that. And then you just screw your new filter back on, screw the water sensor back in, plug it back up. If you don't get this lined up correctly, you just screw it back in clockwise, obviously. But if it's too far to the left, then it'll keep dripping. I noticed too, if I got it too far to the right, it kind of wanted to drip too. And then once you get that back on there, loosen that little valve up back here I was telling you about, and start priming. Push down on this while this valve is open. Press. You'll hear air because it's getting all the air out of the filter, sucking fuel down into the filter and filling it up. And then once you get a good stream of fuel coming out of that, just tighten that back up and you should be good to go. So I did notice, like, it tells you on the side of the filter right here, instructions to drain the water. It tells you how to do that with the little valve thing down here. And obviously I'll put a new filter on or whatever. So that was that particular fuel filter. On to the next one. Okay, next I'm going to change the air filter. And this is pretty simple. Just take this little screw thing right here off. It's a clamp. It holds the whole assembly in there. See that? You can lift this up. It's pretty hard to do with one hand. Pop these clips off. There's one down here. It's down there. I already popped that one off earlier. Just lift that off. Got the outer paper filter, which is this one. You got the inner filter, which is that one. It just slides on that little hole in there. This just slides up in here. Again, this is kind of hard to do one-handed, but the smaller filter on the other end of this fits in that slot I showed you a while ago. Just get that nice and snug. So it's all back together now. Basically the issue is this is the old one, but the new one is a really tight fit. So I had to take the new one out of the inside of the canister. It goes inside there. I had to take it out and snug it up in there where it goes. It was really tight. Pushed it up on there and then put the other piece over the top of it And it all went back together fairly easily. This is the oil filter. I know where that goes. And this is the hydraulic filter. I know where that goes. This one is some kind of fuel filter. And I have yet to figure out where it goes. Okay, we got our oil filter, new oil filter here, which goes right there. And if you didn't know, the dipstick is right there next to the oil filter. So we'll check our oil once we get the filter swapped, get the oil replaced back in there. I'm going to start with 8 quarts and check it from there. I think it calls for 9. Again, obviously, just like you would with a car, you want to get some oil and put it around the ring. Because if you've ever forgotten that and had one seize up, you'll never forget it again. Because I've had to drive screwdrivers through them to get them off. Alright, so let's see if we can figure out how to get this in here. Alright, so as I mentioned before, the manual calls for 9 quarts. There's 9 quarts. I'm going to start with 8. I'm going to put 8 in there and then check it. This is the oil it's Mahindra oil, and it's 15W40. I mean, I'm sure you could use other brands, but since I was ordering this from the tractor place and they had it right there, and it didn't seem outrageously expensive. I think it was $50-something for 9 quarts, so it wasn't outrageous. Anyway, like I said, you could probably get other brands or whatever. I went with the Mahindra because, like I said, the people who were supposed to service this thing quite a while ago at the 50-hour mark, when I did my first service on it, I don't think they changed the oil. So I wanted to put the best I could. I'm assuming the Mahindra oil is good oil. So we got 8 quarts in there. Now I just want to check the dipstick. I'm probably gonna have to start it to get the oil filter to fill up before I'm done, but I just wanted to kind of see where we were at here. It's very difficult because now it's clear to tell where it is. It says max right here.
That's where I saw it.
We have oil there, so it may still be draining down. Plus, I haven't cranked it and filled the whole filter yet, so I think it's going to hold that 9th quart. But I'm going to put the dipstick back in. I'm going to change the hydraulic filter real quick. Then I'll start it, and then we'll see if it needs that this quart, which I'm sure it will. Here's our hydraulic filter. I'm not sure what's going to happen. Hydraulic fluid, so that's what I'm thinking is going to happen. So I'm going to get a little bit of letting some of that run down. Again, you always want to put some of this on your seal. Any seal. So this is the filter that I wasn't sure where it goes. That's the name of it. It's all the information. That's what it looks like. It came in the box with everything else. So I assumed that it went with the tractor. I mean, you know, when I ordered it, it was part of a package. But I've looked through this manual and it says fuel system. And this is, you know, the pages where all the fuel system stuff is, 78, 79, which are these two pages. I've read every bit of this multiple times. I've tried to look it up on the internet. This manual only mentions one filter, which is the one we already changed. So I can only assume that they just sent this by accident, so I'll be reaching out to them to find out. All right, so here's what we got done. We replaced both air filters. We've replaced the oil filter, added new oil, added 8 quarts so far. I'm going to start it here in a second, let the oil filter fill up, then probably add the last quart. Got a new hydraulic filter. I still have to put some hydraulic fluid in from where we spilled it earlier. And then we got the new fuel filter. We've primed that, so we should be good to go there. And we're gonna fire it up. And I'll check the oil afterwards. So neutral here, we're neutral. Gas is up. Okay, that's probably going to be the fuel system having air in, I would imagine. That's why that probably shut off. So I'm going to try just priming it a little bit without opening up the bleeder valve. Just see what happens. I've run out of diesel before and done that, and it's been fine. Making sure I don't see any leaks anywhere. Don't see anything leaking. Nothing's leaking. It's running fine now. I would imagine the oil filter's full by now. I'll shut her off and check. Getting here to this wonderful placement of a dipstick. Looks like it's just before the mark. gonna add that 9th quart. Number 1, because it calls for 9 quarts. Number 2, it looks like it's just before the mark to me. So we're gonna add that 9th quart and call this job done.